Hey everyone, it's Abby Glassenberg from Craft Industry Alliance. Hope you're doing really well today. I have noticed that the start of our videos are often kind of staticky. If anybody knows how to solve that problem, I would love to hear your tips because I've tried and I can't fix it myself. So maybe you know something that I don't know. Today we're going to be doing our member spotlight. We're going to be talking with Belle. Belle is from Seem So Me. Belle, I see you joined. So please request to join at the bottom and I'll welcome you. And Belle is a Craft Industry Alliance member. She's also going to be doing a demonstration in our booth at H&H Americas, which is coming up in just a few weeks, hard to believe. So I'm very excited to have her. Hey Belle, on the bottom if you can, okay. Allow you to come join us. Yeah, so I'm excited for Belle to be doing that demonstration. Hey, how are you, Belle?
Hi, Abby. I'm great. How are you?
Good, nice to see you.
You too.
Yeah, so I was just saying how you're going to be doing a demonstration in our booth at H&H Americas, which I'm very excited about. But before we get there, let's back up a little bit and maybe you can tell us a little bit about your sort of business journey and how you got to be doing what you're doing now.
Sure. Well, it's interesting. I've only been doing this 3 years. So I am a beginner pandemic quilter. So at the very onset of the pandemic, I was about to lose my mind working from home on Zoom all day long, and I decided I needed a hobby. So I actually started quilting. I got on YouTube and learned everything from there. And then after probably about a year, I decided I wanted to turn it into a business. It was just something I loved so much. So I have another business on the side in which I have a training and consulting business. I do that part-time. And then now I have I'm a quilt pattern designer, and I also do a lot of consulting for guilds as well. So that's kind of how it all started, and that's where I'm at now.
That's fabulous. I love that story. So you said you learned really from YouTube. Were there particular YouTubers or particular tutorials or sites that guided you as you started from scratch to figure out how to actually go from there to becoming a designer in such a short time?
Yes, there was. So basically, I don't know, some people may be familiar with Melanie K. Ham. That was she passed away
They
recently.
did.
She was
Yeah.
the very first video I found on just the construction of a quilt. Like, I had no idea there were 3 layers, and I started with a charm pack, and my little bonus daughter and I put together our first quilts. And then she really stopped really producing because she was sick. And so from there, I found Melanie Traylor of Southern Charm Quilts. And that's really where I learned a lot of different piecing techniques and precision. And she's a friend of mine now. She's also Southern and an excellent teacher. She actually has quilt classes online and has tutorials for almost all of her patterns. So that's really how I learned, was really those two people.
Okay, that's great. And it's really encouraging as well that you can really start from scratch, not knowing that there's 3 layers in a quilt, really not knowing what a quilt is made of, and go all the way to becoming a designer, really just from teaching yourself on YouTube. And I think that that's really encouraging just for people who can't necessarily get to a local quilt shop or don't have anybody in their family who sews or who knows how to quilt and can teach them. So you can do this yourself. You can learn. There's great online resources now, and that's really fabulous. Okay, so what made you decide you wanted to turn it into a business? Was there something about it where you're just because you're an entrepreneurial minded person? It sounds like you have a consulting business in another field, had that going already, and so you could see the potential, or were people saying, oh my gosh, I love this, I want to learn how to make this from you, or what was it that made you decide that?
Well, so having an entrepreneurial spirit, that was all new to me. So I actually started my training and consulting business around the same time that I started this business. So I had always worked for a company my entire life. I'm 48 and had always worked for another company doing training consulting, but they handled everything, the marketing, all of that stuff. So when the pandemic happened, I decided I really wanted to have control of my schedule, the contracts that I would take on. So entrepreneurship was very new for me. I had to read books. I've had to listen to podcasts, take classes, and it's really been fun and exciting. My only regret is that I didn't do all of this sooner in life, because there is a level of freedom. I mean, it is hard work, but there's a level of freedom that you have, especially if you have young ones. or if you know, have a health issue, you know, you can kind of take your time as you need. So no, I'd not always been an entrepreneur. I took a quilt pattern writing course. There was a course I learned about called Quilter's Candy. It
Mm-hmm.
had popped up on my Facebook feed, I think. And I was like, wow, there's a formal way for me to write my own patterns, because I had dabbled in it. I had bought EQ8, which is a software
Mm-hmm.
system. And I thought when you buy EQ8, it spits out all the directions and everything.
No.
I was so disappointed it did not. So yeah, I really learned I need to take a formal class. And it was a 9-week intensive course that has some of the business aspect to it, as well as the actual writing patterns.
Okay, and that really kickstarted
Oh
things
yeah,
for you.
it did.
And so you've had some good early successes as a designer, breaking into a brand new field. There's so much to learn. So tell us about some of the sort of early wins and successes that you've experienced as you've gotten going with this.
Sure. Well, the first win really was my first pattern. And so that is Dueling Diamonds. This is the Dueling Diamonds quilt pattern. This is the pattern that I designed in the pattern writing course. So it was my first pattern that I launched. It's in PDF and booklet format. And from there also I became a Havells sewing brand ambassador. I just reached out to them. I loved their tools and they said yes. So that also shows you just need about 10 seconds of courage to reach out,
I love that. Yeah.
to ask and try to collaborate, especially when there's notions or things that you love. So those were 2 early wins for me, as well as reaching out to my first distributor and getting picked up with, I'm with 4 now, but that initial one was E.E. Shink. And that really gave me momentum and was really validating that you can ask. And a lot of times the answer is yes.
Absolutely. I think that is probably one of the best lessons there is. And I tell that to my kids all the time. Like, if you don't ask, you're just going to stay right where you are right now. So
That's right.
reach out and ask. You never know what might happen. And if nothing happens or you get a no, well, no loss, because you're right where you are right now. And I'm sure, not that you have to share them, but I'm sure there have been some no's or some things that didn't go where you were hoping they might go early on. And that's also part of the process. And maybe starting this business, in your later 40s gave you that maturity to feel like this is not a blow to my ego. This is just not right now. It's not a permanent no.
Yeah, I would say that probably has a lot to do with it, because you as you get older, you kind of learn things and don't let things bother you as easily. Not to mention a lot of my expertise in the training and consulting that I do, a lot of topics are around leadership, understanding your personality preferences. There's kind of several pieces within that business that have helped me professionally, so I would say that's been a huge help too.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so what are you working on now? And maybe, I don't know if you have anything else you would like to show us. We'd love to see, of course, and tell us kind of what's coming up next as well.
Sure. Well, I'll show you a couple other patterns. One is I love the cathedral window block. But for those that are familiar with it, there is the old traditional method, which takes forever. We don't really see this beautiful block in the quilting world as much. And so I had a pattern that I released last year called River Glen. And it actually is a cathedral window. If you can see kind of the pillow there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you can make the quilt, the pillow, or the table runner. And it's a really easy piecing method. You actually sandwich it like you normally would. And I teach that class. It's been really popular. I taught it at the American Quilter Society Quilt Week in March. I'll be teaching it at Stitch Fest in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and then also International Quilt Festival in Houston. There's just no one teaching it, this easy method. So that's really been something exciting that I've really enjoyed as far as teaching guilds, and then, some of these national conferences as well.
Yeah, I was just going to say, before, I know you have a second part to that question, but before we move on, I do think developing something unique, maybe taking something complicated and simplifying it, how it's put together, or developing a different kind of technique that other people aren't doing. Not being afraid to sort of break out of the box, try something in a different way, or something completely new that maybe isn't the way everybody else teaches it or everybody told you to do it, not having that fear and just trying it. can help you to develop something that's unique and then is marketable to, you know, these national or even international shows, or, you know, being picked up by a distributor or whatever it might be that your goals are. It helps you if you can have something that's truly yours, because quilting's been around forever. And so a lot of stuff has already been done. So it's really a matter of finding ways to make it yours.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what's unique to my patterns too is I include a video tutorial with every single pattern I have, because I'm a visual learner, and I know a lot of my customers and followers appreciate that too, to have the written but to also have the video tutorial. So those are private links that go, you know, to my patterns as well. And it's just a fun class to teach, to watch people's faces light up. So many have said, I've always wanted to learn how to make a cathedral window, and just to see, you know, the happiness on their faces. So that's another great pattern that I enjoy teaching and have published. And I have a few others. They're on my website too. As far as what kind of other things I'm doing, I very much love English paper piecing, and that's what I'll be demoing with you.
I love English paper piecing too, so I'm excited for your demo.
Yeah. So, you know, for those that aren't familiar with English paper piecing, here's a few examples. Here's the hexie. This is the jewel petal. Something exciting, I'm partnered with AccuQuilts, and there'll be a new shape that will be out in the fall. So that's really exciting. But I have a kit. So what happened was I was learning how to make hexies, and was with a quilterpreneur friend of mine, Maud, the retro quilter. We hosted a hexie upcycle challenge where you take your scraps, you learn to make the hexie, and you put it on something you already have, right? You don't go buy something. And when it was all over, and those that had missed the challenge said, do you have a kit? Like, I want to learn how to do this. I've quilted my whole life, but I've been afraid to try EPP. And so I was like, I don't have a kit. And then the more I thought about it, the more I thought, you know, I think I'll put one together. There were only a couple out there, and they were really expensive. So I had a few things manufactured. And, you know, in the kit, you get your own needle book. This is all made with Art Gallery fabrics. You also get all of the paper pieces that are in there, as well as your needle. You get a glue stick that's in there, so to be able to have that, your thread and your snips, and a needle minder. So every possible thing, not to mention a link to 3 tutorials to learn how to do it. That's been really fun, because if you're like me, we're not always in our studio, and we want that quilty fix. So that way people can learn how to do it in the car rider line, on airplanes, just camping. I take mine camping. So that's been something really fun that I've just produced earlier this year.
Well, you're an inspiration, Belle. I feel like you're a go-getter. You're a person who's gone out there, not only learned how to do this, but like built a business, made connections, not been afraid to invest in manufacturing, not been afraid to, you know, ask if you can teach, if you can be an ambassador. It's really impressive, and I think is inspiring for other people who are thinking, can I do this? You know, is there a place for me? And here's the answer. The answer is, even if you just came in 2020, brand new, and here we are in 2023, not 3 years later, and yes, there is a place for you. There is a place for everybody. So I think that that's a really great message, and I love that you are sharing that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's room for everyone. And, you know, I really genuinely love people. And so I know it can be a little harder for others to put yourself out there if you're not quite as extroverted as I am. But I have so many quilty friends that have also done the same. It just takes a little courage, you know, to ask. And so many things are possible. Even later in life at, you know, my age, you know, my late 40s, you can still do it. So if anyone watching this thinks, oh, I don't know if I can do this, you absolutely can. And there's so many people in the industry, even like yourself, Abby, that are so supportive and encouraging for those of us that are maybe newer at this. It's a wonderful community. The craft industry in general is just so supportive and encouraging.
Absolutely. We're all creative people, and you know, there's definitely a place for everybody. So that's fabulous. So Belle, tell us where people can go if they want to get the kit that you showed us, any of the patterns that you showed us, or just follow along with all of the different things that you're pursuing. Because I'm sure it will be exciting as time goes by to watch your business grow as well.
Yeah. So there's two places that, I'm pretty active. One is to subscribe to my website because I send out emails and newsletters with all kinds of things. And so that's www.seamssewme.com. It's a play on words. So that's SEAMSSEWME. And then Instagram here. I'm very active on Instagram. Same, it's Seam Sew Me, but there's an underscore between each word. You can follow me here as well. And I really give a lot of information. We're working on a quilting retreat right now that'll open up this fall. I also do consulting for guilds. So if you belong to any kind of guild, nonprofit guild, that's the other part of the world that I am involved in. So I do a lot of work with boards of directors, which has been part of my history and my other work. So you can reach me on my website, all the information about everything I sell, all the classes that I do and teach, and then also YouTube. And that's on my website. So if you go to my website, it'll take you to all the links to all of the places that I'm at.
That's great. And that seems so me. Belle, thank you so much. It was great having you. Thank you for doing our member spotlight this week. Thank you for everybody who came and joined us today. And we will see you next week.
Thanks, Abby. Thanks for having me. And I'll see you in Chicago in a few weeks.
Yay. All right. See you there.
Bye.
Bye.